Yeah. This is the HaYom sayings by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, a brilliant and renowned scholar, exceptionally gifted and remarkably profound in his studies. A tremendous Torah scholar. He came to the city of Liozna. That was where the first Rebbe of Chabad was. Came to the city of Liozna. Lubavitch only started from the second Rebbe. Immediately after the first Rebbe passed away. Came to the city of Liozna and he threw himself into learning Chassidut. He was a genius, and so therefore, in a short amount of time, he got a tremendous knowledge in Chassidut. So he was already versed in all the Torah and very talented person, etc. At his first Yechidus with the Alter Rebbe, he said, Rebbe, what do I lack? What is Yechidus? Yechidus is you go into the Rebbe with a private audience. Private audience. So it's a little bit hard to explain this, but a Rebbe is not like a normal person like everybody else. A Rebbe is a person like the high priest in the temple, like Adam, the first man. I mean, you have to have a lot of faith in order to get to do this, but there has to be someone in the generation that he really genuinely feels his Judaism, namely that he's connected to God and the Torah. He really feels it. And he's really talented in it. And that's what a Rebbe is. I mean, you can really, the truth is, you can't really explain what a Rebbe is, but it's just like Moses was incomprehensible to the Jewish people. And that's why they could rebel against him, because they thought he was just like a person like everybody else. And he wasn't the same thing as the Rebbe. In any case, so he went into the Rebbe, and this fellow, he's like tremendously talented and genius. So we realized that the Rebbe is a very great person. And that the Rebbe has how do you say, he looks at the world from God's point of view. So he said, Rebbe, tell me what I lack. The Rebbe said, you don't lack anything. You're a genuine person. You're God-fearing. You're a scholar. But you have to get rid of a little bit of the chumetz. What's the chumetz? Chumetz is on Passover, it's forbidden, right? Chumetz, what's forbidden? Because Passover is the birth of the Jewish people. So we have to, like every Passover, it's like a time of being born from nothing. So of course we're not nothing, we're already old people. So we have to forget all that we're big people and old people and everything. We have to, as much as possible, go back to being basic, just a miracle. We're born brand new from nothing. That's supposed to be Passover. Chometz is when you're big. So the Rebbe said you have to get rid of your chometz. What's your chometz? Your self-awareness of yourself and your arrogance. And you have to bring matzah, which matzah is bittul. I want to call it surrender of yourself. Surrender of yourself. And there's all the time you're thinking, I did. Oh, look how great I am, that's the nemesis of every human being in the world. You know, you feel a little bit, how do you say, arrogance. And it makes you feel good. It's a good thing, a good feeling. You feel you accomplished something. You're worth something. You're not a nobody. You got a reason to be here. Somebody gives you a compliment. You feel great. That's good. What's wrong with that? Says the Rebbe, if you depend on these things, then a little bit too much emphasis on what you receive, then that's chometz. Then all of a sudden you become bigger than who you really are. For instance, if a person has, let's take an example. You have a knife, like they have when you roast something, you have a skewer, so you put it through the meat. If you have a skewer and the meat that you put on it was not kosher, so that skewer now becomes forbidden. You can't use it for anything hot because the heat takes out the forbidden taste. So it says if you have a roasting spit was used for something forbidden, which was in this case is egotism, so that person imagines himself to be okay. This imagining that you're all right and your pride, this pushes away God's presence. Because me and God can't dwell together. As long as you think you're the boss in any way, so then you're not a vessel for God. You're full. That implement, that vessel, that skewer or whatever, it has to be the only way you can get rid of the bad taste inside of it, or you can get rid of your egotism. You have to put it into heat, white heat. It says the sparks, the bad things fly out, and they're absorbed in the true light. In other words, you have to really work hard at identifying your egotism and trying as much as possible that when it comes to an egotistical time, you have to think about God. Think about an idea of godliness. And then that will enable you to look at your egotism objectively. And that's like spitting it out. The problem is that egotism is not an objective thing. It's a subjective thing. A person thinks it's he himself. That's me. That's why it's such a big nemesis, because you think it's me. I get mad. I have a desire. I am going to profit. I am going to do this. I am angry. I am the. You feel it's really you, and it really is not. That's the way God made it. But it has become absorbed inside of us, so we have to get rid of it. So that's what the Rebbe said to this tremendous Talmud scholar. He says, you are great, you're wonderful and everything, and you're conducted in this, but you have egotism. You're still looking at yourself as such a tremendously small problem, but it's a problem, a little tiny problem, right? A little tiny problem. Sometimes, like the famous thing, if you have an email address to somebody, you just finished writing a whole big treatise or something, and you're sending it to an email address, but you leave out one little letter or a little, you don't, put a period in the right place, then it's just the whole thing is out. It doesn't. So it's the same thing. A person has to fix himself up. We're demanding perfection. If you don't aim for perfection, then you won't even reach mediocrity. And in a way, that's the whole idea of Chabad. Chabad, the book, the Tanya, starts off with perfection. You're given an oath to be a tzaddik. But the book is called the book of mediocrity. It's called the book of the average Jew, the Beinoni. But if you don't aim for trying to be a tzaddik, to be perfect, then you're not even going to reach mediocrity. So that's what the Rebbe is saying here. You try to get rid of your selfishness, your egotism. Be happier when other people succeed, and don't be so overjoyed when you succeed. Be happy, but not more than anything. Okay, now we're going to have story time.